you may realise the lighting is a bit different. I think it's because it's night time. For example, I'm now filming this at 12 at night, because apparently that's my new schedule now. Okay, let's get into this. So, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. This is the last one of the Harry Potter series, so it's all coming together in this book right here. Before I get into any of the details of this, I will just tell you how I'm going to review the book. So, if you need this or just want a refresher, I take the book, I will give you a general overview of it and some of what I think of it. Then I'll take 5 chapters, or I'll try to. Sometimes I go off on a tangent. It's just, but I'll take 5 chapters, break them down, look into what I like about them and why I've chosen those chapters, and then I will give a kind of overview, like a conclusion kind of thing to it, and then I will give a score out of 100. Like I said before, I used to do a score out of 5 at 5 stars, and then I realised that all the books are going to be about 4 stars, so I wanted a bit more, I don't know, leniency in terms of what I give different books. Okay, so if you haven't already, go over and check out my Twitch. I stream every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday from 6 till 12. 12 till 6. Might want to get my own stream schedule right. And my name is Finn. The final Harry Potter book is so close to being perfect. I like how it brings everything to an end, and it tries to tie up most of the loose ends that have kind of been set up in previous iterations of the series. The characters, especially the development of some of the characters in this book, are really good. One of the characters I really like is Ron. I don't know, his kind of more mature kind of character in this one is very, very good. And also the kind of fact that Dumbledore, the kind of decay of his character due to like people, like rumours and things, and you kind of learn a lot more about the character than you had in previous novels. And this is because he's now dead. Spoilers. And this decay of his character kind of creates this kind of doubt in Harry's mind. And he begins doubting these instructions he's been given in order to take down Voldemort. He's like, especially with the introduction of Horcruxes and Hallows, it's one of the phrases repeated in there, and it's like Horcrux or Hallows, and it's his. Not only is he like he wants them himself, Harry, at one point, but he's also deciding whether he should do it because of what Dumbledore told him. He's like, if Dumbledore's lied to me and not told me all this stuff about him, why should I trust him in these aspects of stuff? And it's pretty good. Let's take 5 chapters. I don't know why I did that. That's 10. 5. And we're going to start with the 7 Potters. This one is one of the beginning chapters to the novel, and I'm going to try and stick to this chapter. But the idea of having the 7 Potters, the kind of idea to it, so they all take Polyjuice Potion, and there's 7 of them, and it becomes like a distraction. It's a very fun concept, and I thought it was very, very well executed. But one of the things it does great is this is kind of like a comedic kind of thing. But then, as soon as they get attacked by Dementors? Death Eaters, straight away, like straight off the bat, it kind of reinforces that tone that's being built out through the other novels. Because you start off with a much darker tone than any of the other novels. Yeah, and it creates a complete parallel with that of the first book, which was very light-hearted and had at the end it got a bit more deeper in terms of like tonally deeper, but this one starts off with some dark bits and pieces. By the way, spoiler alert, but the consequence of this fight results in the death of Hedwig, which is mostly for plot convenience, because how are we having to carry around his owl for the whole thing, and would be a bit of a pain. But also it's kind of him just being freed from that kind of innocence, say. And further, the death of Mad-Eye Moody, who's this like aura, who's like the tough one, and arguably the most skilled, and the fact that he dies at the beginning of the novel helps to like set this tone that this book is gonna be dark, and they're not afraid. Rowling is not afraid to just kill off characters, and it's not all gonna be completely happy endings. And like I said earlier, it's a great contrast to the beginning of the series with the Philosopher's Stone, or Sorcerer's Stone, depending where you're from. And it kind of creates this contrast between the two. Okay, so if we look at the next chapters, because I'm going to talk about a couple here, just because they're next to each other and it's one event. And this is Magic is Might. This is the first of two, well, technically three, but I don't really count the last one as one, but yeah. The first of three kind of heist-esque type of scenes. And this revolves around Harry, Hermione and Ron breaking into the Ministry of Magic to steal the locket from Umbridge, because this is a Horcrux. By adding this scene, it creates a way for the reader to see just how much of the wizarding world is under control by the main villain. Because they have to break into the Ministry of Magic, which is the government, but everything, they've got the Muggleborn registration, and Muggleborns are being hunted down and accused of stealing magic, and they're getting sent to Azkaban and get the Dementor's kiss. And but the main trio have got to break into the Ministry, which is a very cool kind of thing. It's one of those things where this novel comprises of breaking into three places, of which obviously the Ministry was not, but Hogwarts and Gringotts were both said in the first novel by Hagrid that they were the safest place on Earth, which is quite funny because Harry managed to break into all three of those in this novel. Harry discovers files of people being tracked, so the Weasleys. Mr. Weasley is aware that they're keeping an eye on him during the Ministry, but he's also being tracked and his movements are being registered. And not only this, he finds Mad-Eye Moody's eye in the door of Umbridge. It's being used she's using it to like watch on her workers, which is the reason why they know someone's been, because Harry steals it back because it's a piece of Mad-Eye and they want to properly bury it. I like how this chapter, along with the one after, because I think the Magic is Might chapter ends with them finding Umbridge, and then the second, I think it's called the Muggleborn Registration Act or something. I think I can't remember, but the chapter after is them stealing it and then escaping. But I liked how the pacing of this and the subsequent chapter is very well done. There's no part of me wishes this book was longer, because some scenes like this and a scene we're going to talk about in a bit just seem too short. I feel like there should be more detail into what the character's thinking, and just a bit more kind of, I don't know how to describe it, but I feel like part of my problem with this book is it actually goes quite fast, and that's alright because some of the scenes that aren't so interesting aren't like drawn out, but then some of the actual scenes, which are, especially this one, it's kind of like a heist kind of thing, it lasts 2 chapters, and that's about, I don't know, 30 pages, which, actually probably a bit more than that, about 35, but I don't feel it lasts as long as it should. I feel like there should be more kind of build up. But then again, the books were written, I know, for kids, so the pacing for them and for the target audience is probably about right. So let's switch on to another chapter, Malfoy Manor. And this is one where the book takes an even darker turn with the capture of the main trio by Snatchers and taken to Malfoy Manor, but also the torturing of Hermione. On top of that, the chapter then ends with the death of Dobby, who is buried in the garden of Shell Cottage. I like how this chapter shows Draco's fear of he who should not be named, Lord Voldemort, because he's constantly doubting. Obviously, I think he knows it's Harry, but he just doesn't want to. He doesn't want to be in contact with the Dark Lord, and he's trying to take himself out of it and remove himself from this whole thing. But yeah, they keep forcing it on because they were at school together. Yeah, he doesn't confirm it's Harry, and he keeps saying, "Oh, I don't know." But I think the scene is very well done, and it kind of like it's one of the scenes where they are like so close from being captured, but they manage to escape, which it happens quite a few times in this novel. Okay, so the fourth chapter per se is the one called Gringotts, and this is the second heist kind of scene within this one, and this one definitely goes horribly wrong. Although obviously they then escape and it's fine, but they get betrayed. And this one takes into account the whole relationship between wizards and goblins, and or what goblins call wizards, wand carriers, I think it is. And it's one of those things where, like I said earlier, Hagrid in the first novel says there's no safer place than Gringotts apart from Hogwarts, and literally in the last half of this book they break into both, which I just thought was one of those things that may seem as an off comment in the first book, but when you look back on it, it just shows another way of how she was setting it up. It might have been just she thought, oh, I need to do this now, or she realised she'd said that in a previous book and be like, oh, we could do that. But I just like the fact that it seems to have paid off. And the only problem is the breaking into these two places just make the security seem really weak, because I know for the Ministry in the book they make it seem they planned it for ages, because I think the chapter Magicus Might starts with the whole of August or whatever they've been planning this thing. So that makes more sense. But with Gringotts, they're just like, I think it was like a couple of weeks it took them to plan or something. But I don't know. It just seems like there's not a lot of planning going into this, and everything seems to happen quite smoothly. Or anything that any hiccups that does happen is explained away quickly or solved quickly. There's not enough like doubt in the main character's mind about whether this is going to work or not. It's just like, oh, here's a problem, I'll quickly fix it this way, and then it's done. So we're going to shift on to the last chapter, which is the Battle of Hogwarts. I say I'm going to talk about Battle of Hogwarts, but I am going to talk about the rest of the book. So this chapter includes many deaths. Very sad. It includes the death of Lavender Brown, who is Ron's girlfriend from the previous book, because she's killed by Fenrir Greyback. I think I'm right in saying this. Colin Creevey also dies, and one of the saddest is Fred Weasley. This one I think was very. I can't talk about that. I'll mention the films in another video because we're going to do a comparison of both, but of both of them. But I do think this was very underrated in terms of being missed out from the films. Because Fred Weasley's death is very sad. I don't. The final chapters just get me. I do not like just all these deaths one after another with characters that have been built. It's not. Some of these, for example, in some books, it's just they introduce a character and they kill them off, and it's not seen as a big deal because the character's not been. But the fact that it's been 7 books, and in the 7th book they kill off a character that's been there the whole time, in a way which is just so quick. It just. These deaths follow the darker tone that was set at the beginning and help add weight to this kind of battle that's been taking place. In this I don't know if it's this chapter or the next one, but you realise that Nymphadora Tonks and Remus Lupin both die, which is very sad. Lupin is probably one of my favourite characters from the series. I think him, I love Neville. I think him and Neville are my favourite, but I don't know. But yeah, and this is also the end. I think it's the flaw in the plan is the last chapter, and this ends with the death of Voldemort. But the way this is done is very nice. I'm just going to read a quote from the book because I feel like this explains it very well. Okay. Tom Riddle hit the floor with a mundane finality. His body feeble, shrunken, the white hands empty, the snake-like face vacant and unknowing. I just like the way that within this final scene, after the snake has been killed, I feel like it could have been done more in terms of switching here, but every so often it will refer to Voldemort as Tom Riddle, as a mortal now, rather than being like not being able to die because he has all these Horcruxes. He's now just him. So it's the fact that they refer to him as Tom Riddle quite a bit in this last thing. Just it's very well done. It's not even have to be explained or anything. It's just like Tom Riddle did this. I don't like the fact that sometimes it does flip back to calling him Voldemort. I feel like after the last Horcrux is defeated, it should just call him Tom Riddle for the rest until he dies. Because I felt like that would have been a bit better done. But other than that, it's just, I don't know. To be fair, it might confuse people. Okay, so let me just give my final analysis of the whole thing. Okay, so this book manages to successfully bring about a great ending to the series, with only a few hiccups in terms of pacing and just narrative bits and pieces that could have been sorted out. The storyline shifts in this one from being the usual mystery, kind of whodunit kind of thing, to a more like I don't know the type. Is it like the hero's journey? Is that the literary term for this kind of story? But it kind of shifts to that, which it does successfully. There's no big things standing out that look like it could have been done a bit better, but it manages to like successfully change its genre of types with still keeping this essence that was set up in previous books, and doesn't feel separate. The only real issue I have with this one is I'm not too keen on the whole epilogue. I felt like it was a bit unneeded, and who names their kids like that? I feel like that just doesn't make any sense. I don't know. It just was a bit iffy on my part, to be honest. A bit cheesy. Other than that, it's a great conclusion to a well-written series, and it doesn't feel prolonged or dragged out. One of my favourite things is the pacing of this book. Especially when, like I said before, in scenes where it isn't so gripping, and it's like the slow parts where it needs to explain some details and things like that. It kind of goes alright. Okay, so for this one, I'm going to give it a score of 84 out of 100. Don't forget, I stream over on Twitch every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday from 12 till 6. And if you'd like to speak to me or others about the book or about my stream, we've got the Discord channel as well. If you'd like to buy the book, I'll leave a Amazon link down below, and just let me know what you think. See you guys in the next video. Goodbye.